Chiron, retrograde, 13th degree of Aries, the unsuccessful bomb explosion. This is one of those degrees where you have to look carefully and think deeply to find an interpretation of it which really is okay. On the face of it, what we're being told here is that there's an energy of a bomb, like an anarchist bomb, that's appropriate somehow. And that's difficult to reconcile. The text is to do with a frustration. You know, the implication is that we're talking about a youthful energy that's not directed properly. Aries 13, an unsuccessful bomb explosion, immature frustration. The urge we all feel to cast off the yoke of social pressure and claim our freedom is potentially a very subtle and profound spiritual state of consciousness. Yet when it is expressed in a distorted yet petulant way as rebelliousness, both spiritual authority and social approval is missing. It must fail. It should fail, and it does fail. The energy itself is not being criticized here. There's no censure against adolescent self-expression against social injustice. These are the riots of the students that bring attention to the dishonesty or incompetence of government, and it's a very well celebrated phenomenon. So the energy of pointing out to those in charge that they're not doing it right is not wrong. And in fact, if you lack that energy, then what happens is that you get suppressed, repressed, and you lose some vitality and right to complain. It is very difficult energy to process, and is not acceptable socially at all. At all much. There are some places where we can get this energy out, on the sports field, for example, up to a point, and in drama and so on. But this energy is not wrong. It's not evil. It's just misdirected. So on a personal level, as Chiron is bringing attention to this, Chiron's saying, look, change your perception about this energy. That's what Chiron says. That's the only thing that Chiron says, really. That's its purpose in life, is to say, change your mind about your perception here. You're perceiving this wrongly, and it's not helping you. So, those of us that feel deeply and passionately injustice, and we want to do something about it, well, what are we going to do? If it's youthful blurting out of an emotionality that we can't channel into a more productive, directed purpose, then it's going to fail. It should fail. It's wrong. And it does fail. That's the whole thing. What we're actually doing with this degree is noticing that we all have this, or at least we all should have this. And I think what I would suggest is, if you can't access this sense within yourself of outrage against being wrongly treated, then, well, why not? Because all of us are being wrongly treated. The system's structured that way. Those who created the structure of the system did so to keep those who are not in power down, whether that's religious or political or financial, economic. We are being treated unfairly. And that's strange, because life isn't fair, not really, but we've all got this sense of outrage at injustice deep within us. I think Mark Edmund Jones really writes well on this point. Aries 13, an unsuccessful bomb explosion. This is a symbol of the survival of good through evil intention and effort, and of the infinite capacity of the world to absorb and nullify the destructive acts of man. Implicit in the reversed symbolism is not so much the fruitlessness of ill deed as the need for a better instrumentation of the action springing from the deeper sources in selfhood. There is here an almost complete exemption from the normal penalties for social results of a hapless initiative. The word is impetuousness. When positive, the degree is a dramatic rejection of any accomplishment falling at all short of very deep or hallowed purpose. And when negative, a waste of opportunity and futile expenditure of self through vanity or petulance. It's all about growing up, isn't it? If it is the case that we are born, we are incarnated into an unfair world, it's just not run properly. And that stimulates within us this selfhood, this sense of, no, I'm not standing for that. I am important. This is okay. It's not much celebrated as a spiritual principle, but this I am important is totally okay. And that's Aries' purpose in life, to make that sense of I a strong statement. And it needs to be trained. It needs to go through a trial and error process. And if you just blurt impetuously out your emotionality when you feel that something's unfair, it doesn't work. So it's an error. It's to be trained. This is the training of our urge to make things more fair. How do we train ourselves to feel the energy of rage and to refine it and direct it and express it so effectively that it does not get rejected by the forces of law and order and society generally? That's so tricky. But Chiron now, retrograding through this degree, is perhaps saying, well, we can look at this. And it's very timely, isn't it? Because there are such demonstrations going on in the world right now. There will be bombs placed by anarchists in this period. That's what they do, these rebellious activities in various countries, such as Iran, and we've seen that before. We're going to see it again before any difference occurs there. Russia, who knows? It's a big anti-governmental action here, and there will be bombs thrown during the process of that, or guns or bullets or whatever. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. It doesn't have to be a bomb. There is to be violence expected in these situations, and there may well be others. And the message is not, don't be violent. It's, if you feel violently against something which is really definitely unfair, then work out how to express that effectively. This message, I think, the Aries 13, is not so much to do with the wrongness of this Aries fiery passion at all. It's saying, yeah, good stuff. That's tricky. You need to focus that. You really need to learn how to deal with that energy. Rage is the life force. Rage against the dying light. What's the alternative? You just allow yourself to be defeated by entropy. That's the alternative, very often. For most people, that's what they've done. But those of us that refuse that we feel this rage, and yet little by little we kind of notice that it doesn't work unless you refine it. So we're being encouraged to find a way to express the rage we feel at injustice so that it makes a difference. This degree is about not wasting your energy. Don't do that. It doesn't work. Do that with it. It might make a difference. And all in all, if this is to be validated, not only on the social level, but on the spiritual level, the rage that you feel has to be something that makes a difference. It's a creative energy. It's the energy of momentum towards achieving something. However, you have to put it into a container. You have to, any fire is dangerous unless it's contained. But we put fires in our homes by building a fireplace. We have furnaces. We have very strong earthy structures to contain strong fire, and then we can use it. And this significantly marks a difference between our species and other species. Animals don't use fire, so we get to be warm in winter and cook food and that kind of thing because we've learned to control our passion. But the danger of controlling your passion is the repression of it, and that actually leads to death in life. So the challenge here is to be passionate, be dangerous even, but not ineffectual, and also not too threatening to the powers that be, whether governmental or societal, because if you can't win, you'll probably lose. It's a very tricky energy to balance it here, and Chiron knows how to deal with that kind of thing. Chiron is a trickster himself, so we might well be looking now at a different way of expressing those inner feelings. Allow them to bubble up. Don't suppress and repress and deny them. They're life force energies. Trickle out into something that can actually make a difference. I think that's the message here.